So glad you took this time to join me once again as we talk about Jesus and our mental health. I don't know about you, but I find myself agonizing at times over concerning decisions that I have made in the past. And one of the things that I think is normal for us is a kind of, if I can use an athletic term, sprint away from a incorrect or an unwise or a bad decision. We kind of want to put that bad decision and the results of that decision behind us very quickly, so quickly that at times we won't allow ourselves to be schooled by the decision. Now the problem is it's easy to run away from the result of a bad decision, an incorrect decision, unwise decision, but we'll continue to make the same decisions if we don't analyze the process of our own decision making. One of the things that the Bible teaches us very clearly is that Jesus is a wonderful counselor. He's an unusual counselor. He's an extraordinary counselor. He's a counselor with extraordinary abilities. I believe that the Bible is teaching us in that context that any serious decision that is made without advice, wise advice, is an incomplete decision. Let me say it again. Any decision that we make, any important decision that we make, I'm not talking about going to the store, what kind of jeans to wear, life-impacting, life-altering decisions, anytime we try to make a real serious decision, and we make that decision without advice, without counsel, we are making an incomplete decision. The Bible lets us know that in a multitude of counsel there is safety, meaning not so much a variety of people, but watch this, the type of counsel you decide to receive and the spiritual counsel you decide to receive. It is, I believe, an incorrect decision to get advice from someone who has no experience with the results of the decision you're about to make. In other words, I want someone to advise me who's strong spiritually, but at the same time has some experience in what I'm trying to achieve in the multitude of counsel. So as I go to God, as I seek His Word, as I seek a real person who is spiritual and can give me spiritual counsel, but also that person who has experience in what I'm trying to accomplish, I make a better decision. Now the problem with our decision and the counsel that we tend to seek is that oftentimes we look for people that will simply, watch this, support the emotional strength of what we want to do. We will ask someone who is more interested in not hurting our feelings than they are in seeing us succeed. Now what do I mean by that? There are people in our lives who, when we come to them with a serious manner, that while we are telling them what we need advice for, are making the decision whether they really want to tell us the truth or whether they really want us to walk away without our feelings being injured. Now this is a problem in the decision-making process, because if people believe that you're a person, that if you come to them with a situation, a problem, you need advice, and you start to question their thought process, some people automatically believe you're opposed to what they want to do. When in actuality, when you come to someone for advice and they begin to ask you questions, they're asking the question so they can have, watch this, the information that you may have not revealed, get a better understanding of what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do, so they can give you more complete advice. But many of us, the moment someone asks us questions about our thought process or why we want to do a thing, we automatically take a negative and say to ourselves, they're against me, they're opposing. No. If you come to me with a problem and I begin to ask you questions, it means I need more information to give you complete advice. So what we want to make sure we do is that when we're getting counsel and I'm going to make a decision, that we want to minimize the process, the probability of regret. We need counsel that will not only support us spiritually, guide us spiritually, but we need someone with experience who has the wisdom to guide us through the decision to the result that we seek to desire, seek to yield. We want someone who can guide us directly, guide us with strength and certainty, so that our idea, our desire, has positive results. So the Bible lets us know that the right counselors are absolutely essential, the right people to talk to. Now, sometimes this won't be someone that is related to you, because sometimes when we're related, we are hesitant to say, you may want to reconsider this, you may not want to do this. And then there are times that we have to make sure that someone, say for instance, you want to start a business, and you go to someone who has never started a business, and they discourage you from starting the business because they have always feared taking that step. They like bathing in the warm tub of security of a job, and nothing's wrong with that. They have done well in their career. So when you come to them asking for advice outside that life framework, they may be hesitant to give you the advice. So what are you looking for? Well, you may know an entrepreneur, someone who started a business. I remember when I started my janitorial business, I went in, years ago, I went and talked to a guy who I knew had been successful. So when I talked to this guy, there were several things about him that some people thought should have discouraged me from talking to him. He had never, ever graduated from high school. But in 25 years, he had never made less than $1 million. So he didn't have the high school education, but he had the experience that I needed. He already loved the Lord, so I knew he would not give me ungodly, compromising advice. So I chose the right person, and I let that person teach me the business so that when I branched out on my own, I was able to be successful. I remember when people used to ask me about who my spiritual father was. My spiritual father was a great man named John B. Dix, D-I-X. And he had a very small ministry, maybe less than 100 people, but he had trained me for my ordination. And then as I, began to pastor my own church, and the church began to grow far past what his ever had, he still stayed and remained my mentor, my counselor. Now, why would you say? Well, I didn't need him for the growth. I needed him for his wisdom. So I knew that the components of wisdom that were needed for ministry of any size, I knew he had that wisdom. So I could talk to him about his doctoral degree in people. I could talk to him about foolishness that you run into as a leader. I could talk to him about all those different things that make or break a leader. So my point to you is that you have to have the wisdom to seek the person that you need to give you the advice both spiritually and professionally. So a small businessman who's successful can give a big businessman the principal counsel he or she may need to grow their business, because the fundamental truths don't change. You still have to be a success with people. Anyone that fails at people fails at life. I know there's this independent kind of mentality in this present day culture, and it's not a new thing. I know people that are 50, 60 years old who internally believe they can do everything by themselves, and they make one mistake after another. But you cannot, watch what I'm going to say now, you cannot celebrate your own ignorance, and you cannot find comfort in your personal, private, unknown failures. You've got to get strong enough to move past those failures so that you're willing to receive some advice. So, when we're making decisions, we need counsel, spiritual and practical. When we're making decisions, we need to make sure that the person is not more concerned with your feelings than they are with your success. When we're making decisions, we first have to pray, find instances in the Word of God that show us the pathway that God has for people that are pursuing just what you're pursuing. I hope this helps. Our counselor is Jesus Christ, the Word of God, but also when you're getting ready to make an important decision, don't leave advice out. Because watch what happens. If your decision fails, you will seek advice after the result shows up that you should have sought before you ever made a final decision. I hope this helps you. Stay strong. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.